Should I write a script? I have so many things I want to say. Where do I even start? Should I just wing it? No. I definitely need to plan it. What even is a script? Never heard of her. What if nobody watches it? What if nobody likes it? What if nobody cares? It's too important. What if it's just not good enough? It needs to be perfect. Hey. Sit down. Breathe. Relax. Remember, what did we learn from the movie? Right. It doesn't need to be perfect. Hello and welcome to my review of Disney Pixar's latest film, Inside Out 2. Now before we continue, I need to let you all know that this is a non-spoiler review. If you would like a more in-depth review, which would include the symbolism behind certain characters, dialogue, and moments within the movie, you'll have to let me know down in the comments below because, there is so much that I could cover with that. Friends, I am very happy to announce that I watched Disney Pixar's film Inside Out 2 in theaters, and I loved it. I was actually really worried that I wasn't going to enjoy the film. Unfortunately, I feel that Disney and Pixar have had more flops than successes in the last few years. What I'm glad to say is that Inside Out 2 is a breath of fresh air in the recent Disney releases. Now, I don't think that all of the recent films have been flops, but I think it's been a while since we've had a truly extraordinary movie that has shone above the muddle of all the other animated movies that have been coming out today. The last truly noteworthy animated film from Disney or Pixar, I think I'd have to say, is Encanto, which was in 2021, and that was almost 3 years ago, in case you don't feel old enough yet. Raya and the Last Dragon, Luca, Turning Red, Lightyear, Strange World, Elemental, and Wish were all generally subpar Disney movies. None of them quite lived up to the 100-year legacy that Disney has built thus far. I think the best one of these would either have to be Luca or Elemental, which both of them were good movies, but they didn't necessarily break any barriers or give us anything new. They were just kind of decent. I would enjoy rewatching them again, but I wouldn't go on a rant about how amazing the film was. I wouldn't praise them like I would for other amazing animated movies that have come out in my lifetime. Raya and the Last Dragon, Turning Red, Lightyear, Strange World, and Wish were all relatively poor films, each with their own reasons for being so. Now, if you disagree with my ratings of the previous Disney movies that have come out recently, we'll have plenty of time to talk and argue about that in another video. Today is for Inside Out 2. That's right, Amy Poehler. It's your day. When I went to watch Inside Out 2, I was intrigued but not surprised to see mostly couples, adults, and teenagers going to watch the movie. Because those are the people that grew up with the first one. And you might think that it wasn't that long ago, but Inside Out released 9 years ago. It is almost 10 years old. Oh, my back! In all honesty, though, that age group is the target audience for this film. And I think it's a great thing. The first hat tip that I have to give to Inside Out 2 is how well it's matured with its audience. And the movie is all about maturity and growing up. Riley is not a child anymore. She's a teenager, which means she's gaining a sense of herself. And there's a central focus in the movie about how she perceives herself as a person. If you haven't seen the trailers or you don't know anything about the movie, without spoilers, here's the rundown. Joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear are all emotions that live inside Riley's mind. They take care of her and help her process her experiences around her, ultimately helping her get the most out of life. But when Riley begins to mature, suddenly we get a new emotion that appears, which is anxiety. Voiced, might I say, wonderfully by Maya Hawke. We also get envy, embarrassment, and ennui, which is a fancy word for boredom. It is how you say the boredom. The first film earned so much of its charm from how relatable it was, and the second film only kicked up the notch 1,000 times as far as relatability goes. The first movie taught us that not everything has to be hunky-dory all the time. We need a healthy dose of all emotions in order to fully appreciate everything that life has to offer, and to just function as a human being. There is beauty in sorrow. If you get nothing else out of this review, the one thing I think is the most important to know is that this second film is not a carbon copy of the first one. Our characters have learned their lessons from the first film, and we see them applying those lessons in a very healthy way throughout the movie. Their emotional awareness skills are just top-notch. But now it's time to deal with uncertainty, doubt, and, you guessed it, anxiety. This film gives us real, raw emotions. We're used to joy in the first film, going around making everything seem as positive as possible. This sequel is so much more openly raw and honest with how these emotions are feeling. Imagine if feelings had feelings. What a wacky premise for a movie. I'm sure glad nobody's tried to copy it before. Getting back on track though, this movie absolutely rips back the curtains on all the embarrassing, envious, and anxiety-inducing moments that we all have. And it really forces to light the fact that we all have things that keep us up at night. We all have deep desires, difficult decisions, and beliefs, good and bad, about ourselves and the world around us. And none of us are perfect. There's a huge theme about control in this movie. Anxiety is something that feels overbearingly gripping and controlling. It's like we can't shake it. It won't go away. We worry about what's going to happen. We're afraid. Sometimes it feels like we're afraid all the time. We're regretting decisions and panicking about the future and all the things that could go wrong. Everything seems to be going wrong, and you feel powerless to stop it or fix anything. And you just start to feel like you're not good enough. It's hard to control anxiety, and it's naturally a force that gets more out of control the more you try to control it. You need to let go of this need to be perfect. Be at peace with who you are, an imperfect person, and how beautiful you are in the midst of your imperfections. Don't compare yourself to others. Don't try to be like anyone else. You just be you. There is so much to unpack in this movie, and I could go on forever talking about the messages inside of it, but if I continue much further on that track, we're going to wander into the realm of spoilers. So now I'd like to segue into talking about the technical aspects of this movie, which were just as fantastic, if not more so, than the original. Starting off with the animation, this movie brought it up to a new level, and not for the sake of showing off, but for highlighting the things that were most important. Sweat on characters' faces, the subtlety of facial expressions, and the blurring of a camera lens is like how it feels when you're having a panic attack and you go all tunnel visioned. The speed of a scene going from fast-paced to a slow, soft moment where nothing needs to be said and you're just allowed to savor in whatever they're playing on the screen. You get to just soak in the lighting and the color that accents the mood the scene is trying to convey. The entire thing was so visually dynamic and telling. I'm convinced that you could watch the entire film in silence and know exactly what was happening. It's just a visually beautiful orchestration. And that's not even mentioning the scenes inside of Riley's mind with the emotions, which are just as colorful and gorgeous and detailed as ever before. Moving on to the voice acting, it is just scrumptious. In the trailer, there's a scene about sarcasm, so it's not a spoiler to mention it here. But I like to imagine the voice actors had so much fun just laying on the thickest layer of sarcasm they could possibly muster.
Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys! Boy, are we so lucky we ran into you guys!
Wow.
It is gelatinous how much sarcasm is put into those lines. But in other moments, there's also so much beauty in the subtlety of the words some of the characters are saying, both the humans and the emotions. The music is once again a swing and a home run. It's not overbearing, it doesn't distract, it is only enhancing. The film is quiet when it needs to be, and swelling in musical emotion when the time calls for it. The comedy is fresh and new and creative. In my opinion, they kept a perfect balance of jokes and references from the first movie and new material from the second movie. I can confidently add Inside Out 2 to my exclusive list of sequels that lived up to or were better than the original. And that's mostly referring to The Rescuers Down Under, Toy Story 2, Monsters University, Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, The Dark Knight, Thor: Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Empire Strikes Back, and Rocky 2. Inside Out 2 is not just a good movie, it is extraordinary. It's something special. Noteworthy beyond expectations, and something that I think a lot of people needed, myself included. I've faced a lot of anxiety and difficult emotions due to recent life events, and this film's emotional intelligence helped me in a simple way of just being okay with things not being perfect. Life is messy. I might lose people, and like I might doubt myself. I don't have to have it all figured out right now though. And for a long time, and for a lot of people, we feel like we need to have it figured out. And if we don't have it figured out, we feel like we're just not good enough. There's so much more to me than just that. The good, the bad, the ugly, but most of all, the beautiful soul that I am. A soul who is sometimes hurt and scared and envious, but hopeful, proud, loving, sometimes downright terrified or depressed, but beautiful nonetheless. Your younger children may not understand the deep messages this movie has to offer now, but it's something that I wish I could tell every child on earth, which is that they are loved just the way they are, flaws and all. And the reality of it is that it's okay if we don't have it all figured out. I'm so happy to see Disney Pixar on the rise again, and I hope that they listen to their fans and learn from their recent mistakes as well as their most recent success. We want more of these stories that we actually care about, stories that impact us and enrich our lives, and ones that are frankly real and applicable to our lives. Creations that we can learn, love, and benefit from. Disney Pixar, thank you, and welcome back. I hope this is Raya and the Last Dragon, Luca, Strange World, Elemental. I went out of order. Woo! The first four. We all have. It's hard to control anxiety, and it's naturally a force that is difficult to control. And the more you try to control it, I repeated myself, you get to just soak in the lighting and the color, everything that accents the mood. Accents? What's accents? Accents. Accents. We're freaking American here. The film, in my opinion, they kept a perfect balance of jokes and references from the first movie and new. What's that word? And that's mostly referring to The Rescuers Down Under, Toy Story 2, Monsters University, Frozen 2, Puss in Boots: The Dang it! Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, How to Train Your Dragon 2, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, Thor: Ragnarok, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider. Dang it! Oh, that's a hard take to do. Oh, I did it.